it's straight up, top of the hour. Welcome, everybody. My name is Lauren Bailey. My friends call me LB, and you're very welcome to do that as well. I'm the founder of Factor 8, the Sales Bar, and Girls Club, because I've got a lot of free time. Factor 8, if you don't know us already, we've been around 13 years, and we specialize in helping people feel really successful at work. We work with BDRs and SDRs, AEs, account managers, and honestly, my favorite, working with new frontline managers. That inspired Girls Club started 3 years ago, where we're all about helping more women raise their hand and get promoted into sales management. By the way, our Generation 4 applications are open now. The third brand you know me for is the Sales Bar, which is our super cool and fun online platform. And that's what we're showing off today. I wrote a class last year called Storytelling. It's just gone live in the Sales Bar. It is a super cool, meaty course, and we're going to give everybody a chance to get access to that for you and your whole team at a really great reduced rate at the end of this class. I'm going to give you as much as I can in the next 29 minutes on storytelling in the meantime. So open your chat, type in where you're from if you haven't already. I'm going to ask you some questions along the way. Let's get started with our very first shot from the bar. Stories are a Trojan horse. They are a secret weapon. Now, if you don't know the story of the Trojan horse, right, I'm going to mess up my own history here, but basically the Trojan horse is how you sneak something in, right? This was a famous war in Troy, and they snuck all the soldiers in a great big horse, and I don't know who would fall for that, but there you go. Stories are a way of sneaking in your sales pitch in a way that people don't just open the door for, but gratefully accept. Stories build emotional engagement, curiosity, and they help somebody get receptive instead of defensive. Give me a hell yeah in chat if you feel that sometimes people are defensive to salespeople. I'll wait. Hello, Arizona. Hell yeah, hell yeah, hell yeah, hell yeah, right? So stories are a way to get around that. They can be a secret weapon. They also help build connection. So people have been talking about it. Stories have been hot for a while. I can't say I was always great at telling them. I had a few, but I would feel weird if I told them more than once. And as I did the research for this class, I realized I was being an idiot. Stories are the way to go. Let me convince you just a little bit more. Get your chats ready. According to a well-known psychologist, Jerome Bruner, facts are blank times more likely to be remembered if they're part of a story. So chat your answer in. How many more times are facts likely to be remembered if they're part of a story than if you're just telling facts? This could be, by the way, I'll tell you as you're typing your answer in, 24, 6, 5, 5. This could be 20. Apparently I said it in my email. Thanks, Gretchen. It's true. The answer is 20. I will let you type it in, everybody. That's the answer. Whoops. Thanks for pointing out that I'm an idiot. 20 times more likely. And I think it's because stories somehow release dopamine in the brain, that feel-good chemical. Fascinating, right? So let's get good at telling stories. First, where and when do we insert a story in the sales cycle? You guys, the short answer is anywhere, but I'm going to ask you to challenge yourself to figure out when is best for you. You might work on your first story with me in this next 25 minutes today, based on where you're struggling. Are you losing people up front? Are you having trouble getting them to stay on the phone with you? Are you getting trouble moving to the part 2? Are you getting through the sales cycle and losing them at the proposal? Are you losing them at the close, right? What's going on? Are there places where you feel like you're talking too long? Are there things that they're not remembering? Are there specific reasons that you keep losing to a competitor? Times where maybe you feel like they're not getting enough critical facts or you need more buy-in? Any one of those are great reasons to pick that section of the sales cycle and insert a story. Oh, thank you. Amy's telling me that you guys aren't seeing my PowerPoint, which is not helpful at all because I am showing a sales process. So let me try that again, okay? Thanks, Amy. Appreciate it. Here we go. Booyah. I'm going to count on you to tell me if you're not seeing it now. Okay. This is sales shot number 2. Where should you insert the story? Thanks, Amy. Appreciate it. Cool. All right. So what kinds of stories should we tell? Let's go there next. I did a lot of research, like I said, in writing this online class for the sales bar. And I got to tell you, this guy is fantastic, Paul Smith. I think he kind of wrote the book on storytelling for sales. And he recommends these 25 key stories. Any one of these are one that you could pull out and say, all right, I'm going to get this in my arsenal. In the online class, I recommend to keep 8 stories at different types in the sales cycle, kind of running through these and picking which ones I think would be most beneficial. But for you, I invite you again, look at this sales cycle. Where are you losing people? Where do you need help? And let's focus on that to build out a story. All right. Anybody have one? You know where you want to insert a story or a type of story that you want to work on today. Feel free to put that in chat. I'm going to share an example a little bit later here. And the story I'm going to share is one that somebody on our team, Steve, tells all the time about how he found Factor 8. Okay, Kayla's going for closing. Thank you so much for sharing that. So a closing story might be why other people decided to buy from you, why you bought when you used to be a customer, your favorite customer closing story. Okay, any one of those would work. Okay, last time we purchased, the pricing was this, and now you want why, or negotiating price. So a pricing story is a great one, good one. Even preventing objections might be one that you see in there, Gretchen, right? I know I'm going to get an issue about the price. So why are my prices higher now? We might insert a story there. Make sure that people are receptive and head off the price objection overall. Identifying needs. What does your company do? Really good, you guys. I love that you've picked this out. Now, where are we going to get the info for the story? Lots of different places. You may not have this ready. You may not have a fascinating story about why your prices are higher or your favorite customer and why they should pick you and close with you, but you will soon. The number one place you can go are existing customers. You literally can't. Go call your top 5 customers and ask them the question. Hey, you bought from us recently. Our prices went up. What made you decide that was okay? What made you decide to buy from us the first time? Now that we've been working together for a while, tell me something. Why did you blank? Okay. Now it's so much easier to tell the story when somebody tells it to you. We're going to make the story better, but it's a great place to start. I love these 2, case studies and testimonials. If you don't already have some of these memorized or posted up in your cube so that you can use it, I say cube, your home office, then go to your website and grab some, okay? Even if it just says, this is the best decision I ever made, Mark A. You are going to tell a killer story about Mark A, all right? Let that inspire you. They're great reasons. Case studies are built out testimonials. We'll embellish it and turn it into a story and not just a case study. Those are my favorites. But you can absolutely positively borrow somebody else's story. If I've got some managers on the line with me, what a great thing to do at a huddle. Let's all go around and share. I need 3 volunteers next huddle to tell a story about their favorite customer or a closing story or an overcoming objection story or a price story. Company leaders have stories, right? I can tell you the story about why I started Girls Club. I can tell you the story about why I started Factor 8. And boy, have I told it over and over and over again. And yeah, it gets a little more interesting every time. Of course, if you don't have a company leader who's told a great story that you can take out to lunch and get the story, then go browse the website, look through the brochure when you hire it on. Somewhere, somehow, there's a story of the founding of your company or of the leaders or of a product line. Sometimes it's a really boring historical projection of how the product changed. Take that boring stuff, use the facts of it, and let's build a story. Are we ready? Sales shot number 3, the components of a story. Here we go. All great stories have 8 major components. Some of these won't be a really big shock to you, right? Oh, Amy, thank you for posting in the cheat sheet. That's fantastic. All right. Some of these are easy, you guys, and they're automatically in there. Even in a testimonial or a case study, you probably have a main character. You probably have the outcome. But what you probably don't have are little things like the time and the place. Okay, that makes it interesting. You might have the outcome, but what was their goal ahead of time? The goal is something that your buyer would identify with. We want to pick stories that helps the buyer see themselves in that story. Oh my gosh, you totally remind me of Michael. I worked with Michael in 2018. I remember because it was a really, really hot summer and he was facing the same challenge, okay? Blank, blank, blank was happening and he really needed blank, blank, blank to happen instead, okay? I just hit time, the main character, did I do the place? I don't think so. His goal, the challenge. Okay, now I'm going to tell a story about what happened until we get to the outcome. I've highlighted this one to two random details or fun embellishments. This is the number one criteria. Okay, if I just say, Michael Poe had a problem, we fixed his problem, it's a case study. If it's in Michael's words, it's a testimonial. But when I tell you that Michael was a cowboy from Nashville and literally roped steer on the weekends when he wasn't working in global finance, that's suddenly interesting. That's what's releasing the dopamine in the brain and what is actually making it a story. Now, I just saw my monitors all flash very weird. So Amy, I'm going to ask you to text me here and chat me again if you can still see my screen and everything's okay. Let me know if something's gone wrong. Okay. I'm going to show you Steve's example. Good. Thank you. Appreciate it. All right, here we go. Steve's example. So Steve Shar gets on a lot of our calls. Thanks, everybody. Steve Shar gets on a lot of our calls with new customers. And they're trying to decide, right? Do I want to work with Factor 8? Do I not? How did you know? What's the class experience like? What's going on? So Steve likes to tell the story that he joined the company X years ago, and he was actually a client first. Okay, so he hit the time of the story. He hit the main character, it's him. The outcome was he told the story. I was a client, then I joined the company. That's the outcome. But what's missing are those random details, the fun embellishments, okay? Here's what it sounds like when Steve actually tells the story well. See if you can pick out if he told each one of these. So I've typed out what I heard him say last time and we'll give him a grade, okay? So feel free to give feedback in the chat, especially because it's Steve, not me, okay? Oh, I love that you asked about the feel of the training. I'm the perfect person to answer this. Quick story. 12 years ago, I experienced Factor 8 training myself. I was working for a division of HP in Tempe, Arizona. My boss, Mike, hired Factor 8 to train his new team. This is a true story, by the way. We bitten off this huge number and our leads totally fizzled. The list was awful, right? It was a lot less than we'd been promised, but failure was not an option. And frankly, our jobs were on the line. We had this head count locked in at 80 and all we had left, the only lever left was to get more out of every single rep and every single call. So Lauren came in and they just lit the classrooms up. They were loud, they were out of their seats and they were out of the room doing exercises in the hall. Then they all came out onto the floor and they were making calls and listening to them back in the classroom and cheering. And I mean, it was the strangest, coolest experience. We were all kind of wondering what the hell was going on in there. But every single rep afterwards told me that they loved it and that the techniques actually worked. And we did, we saw it in the numbers. The connect rates went up, the talk time doubled, the pipeline finally started to fill. I knew I wanted to be part of something like this. And 2 years later, I joined the company and married Lauren. So yeah, it leaves a mark. That is a true story. My husband, Steve, joined the company 2 years later. Did we hit all of these? The time, 12 years ago. The main character, I think that the goal of this one, he's telling the story about how great Factor 8 is, right? The main character was probably Factor 8. Tempe, Arizona was the place. We didn't set the exact goal, but we knew we had to hit the number, right? It was new, we had to hit the number. The challenge were bad leads, locked in at the headcount, big number. The series of events, we might have gone a little further there, but the story was getting long, right? The series of events was really kind of explaining how the class felt, the fact that we had poor results, then we had this fun experience, and then the results were better. The outcome being the results better. Okay, so I want you to think back about this. What's one or two random details that you remember? Put it into chat for me. Anything that you remember about the story now that it's 2 minutes old. We're doing a live test to see what sticks in your brain. Thanks. I hear that we hit it all. Thanks, Dosia. Cheering, doing stuff in the hallways. That hit you. Excitement, doing exercises. Steve found his wife. So true. The truth story around that, Scott, is that I had to marry him to close him and get him to come and join the company. LB came in their lines and everyone was cheering. Their jobs were on the line in marriage. Thanks, Steph. Yeah, you remember the number 8. Isn't it funny what sticks in your brain after a story? But the truth is, like, you remember the overall feel, you remember that it worked, but with some of those random details that were sticking out to you, wasn't it? The 80, the hallways. All right, that's what you're going for. Use this checklist to build out your own story. Pardon me, let's get through this. All right, I just want to give some bonus ideas here about what story to build and how to build it well, okay? You want to pick a story that helps you connect to someone, okay? So when someone says, gee, I'm struggling with arthritis, and you tell a story about roller skating, these two aren't right, doesn't work. That's why it helps to have a bank of go-to stories available for typical customer situations. I want to spend more money is probably not as common as, should I spend more money? I don't want to. I want to spend less money. So you have a story for that. A common question you get asked, get a story in your arsenal for that. But the goal is that we want to seem similar, either us, if we're the star of the story, or our main character in the story. We want them to be in a similar situation to our customer or our prospect. Is that making sense, you guys? We're looking for building connection and building likability, which leads me to my third point. You can never be the hero of your own story. If I had told Steve's story, oh, let me tell you about the time I went in and saved the day. I had these people out of their seats. We were making calls. We filled the pipeline. It was phenomenal. It's just not quite as nice, is it? Okay. You want the customer to be the hero. Maybe your product to be the hero. Maybe your company to be the hero. But the number one way to go is let the customer be the hero of the story. They decided to spend the extra money on training. And let me tell you, right, or on the add-on or on the service or on the onboarding. And let me tell you how it saved their bacon. And by the way, I learned something. Let me tell you how it saved my bacon. People love a story where you're a little vulnerable, right? The truth is, I was about to seriously F this up, but woo, lo and behold, the magic customer who reminds me exactly of you, who lives in Tempe, Arizona and ropes cattle on the weekends, right? Now they're a real person. They're the hero of the story. Thank goodness for me. I hope that makes sense. Now, I know you guys have hopefully picked a story that you want to tell. And your job is to make sure it has each of those components, that you're not the hero, the customer is. And now practice telling it. Say it to yourself, say it to somebody else. I highly suggest you get a partner and go through this, even with your whole team. And because of that, I want to tell you about our masterclass. Typically at the end of our sales shots, we give you a chance to be a part of like a 6-week, 3-class series. Our storytelling class is pretty hefty. Okay. There's a ton of examples and information. I went over the very high level here. If you're serious about creating 2 or 3 really good go-to stories that you're going to wind up using every single week, take the master class, you guys. It's only one class. You get 6 weeks access to this class, and we priced it so you can go with your whole team. Okay. It's $200 a person, $600 for a team, 5 to 15 people, and you get $100 off. So come on in, work through the e-learning, and then I'm doing a live coaching at the end of that time. You will send me your stories. You will read them online. We will coach them together until you have a couple killer go-to stories. I'm about to wrap up early, so if you have a question, type it in. The last thing I want to tell you about, I mentioned getting into management. If that perked your ears and you haven't heard of it before, Girls Club applications are open now. Generation 4 is kicking off in 2022. It will start in April and run through October. We are doing a finale conference at the end. You'll get your own mentor. You'll get management training. We're going to change your life. I hope you will apply and join. Here are my contact details. If you want to follow up afterwards, if you want to find us on LinkedIn or learn more on any of the websites, please do. We have these sales shots every single month, and you can sign up ahead of time for several months in a row. So I'm going to close us here. There's 8 minutes back in your day. You're welcome. But I am going to check the chat and see if anybody has questions. Good places, girl. All right, everybody. I'm going to wait 30 more seconds to see if we've got any more questions. Otherwise, I'm giving you back the gift of time. If you are an American with me, I hope you have a fantastic Thanksgiving and that you don't spend all day cooking only to eat 20 minutes of a cold meal and cleaning the rest of the evening. Have a great time, everybody. Thanks so much for joining us. I'll see you next month on our sales shot. It's going to be fantastic. And I hope I see you guys in the masterclass. It'll be really fun to see these names again and work and coach on your story. So send this info to your boss, and we've made it really cheap. Come on in. All right, we'll see you. Thanks, everybody.